Spark something uncommon this holiday with just the right gift from Uncommon Goods. The busy holiday season is here, and Uncommon Goods makes it less stressful with incredible hand-picked gifts for everyone on your list, all in one spot. Gifts to spark joy, wonder, delight, and that's exactly what I wanted feeling. Hey, y'all, I ordered a super cool piece. It's a candle with a sculpture of LSU's Tiger Stadium on top of it. And each officially licensed laser cut wooden replica features up to 4 layers of detail, creating a bird's eye view of a specific football field, seating section, and more. And every label includes your stadium's name, the team's logo, and school location. And it has a coconut, soy, vegan wax infused with sandalwood smell that creates tailgates and touchdown scent profile, reminiscent of game day. It's invigorating like fresh cut grass and nostalgic like smoke from a pre-game grill, and calming like the crisp autumn air of a new semester on campus. Y'all, I love it. I have it at the base of my TV, and I'm ready to watch the Tigers play on Saturday night, right? Uncommon Goods. Look, when you shop at Uncommon Goods, you're supporting artists and small independent businesses. And many of their handcrafted products are made in small batches. So shop now before they sell out this holiday season. Uncommon Goods looks for products that are high quality, unique, and often handmade or made in the U.S. They have the most meaningful, out of the ordinary gifts anywhere. They even have gifts you can personalize. From holiday hosts and hostess gift to the coolest finds for kids to hits for everyone from the book lovers to diehard sports fans. Uncommon Goods has something for everyone, not the same old selections you can just find anywhere. And with every purchase you make at Uncommon Goods, they give $1 to a nonprofit partner of your choice. They've donated more than $3 million to date. So to get 15% off your next gift, go to uncommongoods.com/RLRC. That's uncommongoods.com/RLRC for 15% off. Don't miss out on this limited time offer. Uncommon Goods, we're all out of the ordinary.
Looking for excitement? Chumba Casino is here. Play anytime, play anywhere. Play on the train, play at the store, play at home, play when you're bored. Play today for your chance to win and get daily bonuses when you log in. So what are you waiting for? Don't delay. Chumba Casino is free to play.
Experience social gameplay like never before. Go to Chumba Casino right now to play hundreds of games, including online slots, bingo, Slingo, and more. Live the Chumba life at ChumbaCasino.com. VGW Group. No purchase necessary. Void where prohibited by law. See terms and conditions. 18+.
Real Life, Real Crime is a true crime podcast brought to you weekly by Woody Overton, Jim Rathman, and executive producer Toby Tomplay.
You have the right to remain silent. Anything you say can and will be used against you in a court of law. You have the right to an attorney prior to and during any question. You can't afford one, the court will appoint one for you. You understand your rights.
Your crime spree was over, son. Yeah, you thought you had it licked, but Hitman in Overton made you should have turned to shit. Get ready, you're gonna do time. Real life, real crime.
Warning. This episode of Real Life, Real Crime, the podcast, will contain descriptions of acts of violence or that are of a sexual nature. It should be for people that are 18 years or older. Heed my warning, people. Jim and I did not get the facts of these cases off of the internet or from some television show. The facts we're retelling you were presented to us by the victims of the crimes or the perpetrators who committed the crimes against the victims. My description of the crime scenes are what I saw with my own 2 eyes. If you're gonna get offended, please turn this podcast off now. Thank you. Hello, everybody. I'm Woody Overton, your host of Real Life, Real Crime, the podcast. And I'm coming to you solo today due to the restrictions on the coronavirus. Jim Rathman's in Florida working the Don Lewis case, and I'm working from home. I'm going to bring you an old school story, if you will, by myself. So let's get started. The name of today's episode is going to be I Shot That Man. In 2006, October 2006, I was working as a detective with the Livingston Parish Sheriff's Office, and we had received a tip or call from the Tangipahoa Parish Sheriff's Office that there was going to be a large gang fight in our parish outside of the town of Springfield in the McCarroll Road area. Now, bear with me as I get you oriented in what I'm talking about. Tangipahoa Parish, first of all, Louisiana uses parishes, not counties. We're one of the only states in the United States that has that. We're under the Napoleonic Code of Law. So when y'all hear me say parish, that just means counties, like for everybody that's outside of Louisiana. But Tangipahoa Parish connects to Livingston Parish on the east side of Livingston Parish. Also on the east side of Livingston Parish, it's just really rural, y'all. There's two small towns on the extreme side of the parish, and that is the town of Albany and the town of Springfield. Now, in 2006, the population of Livingston Parish was approximately 90% Caucasians, and the African Americans generally had what we call their own settlements or areas where, I guess, neighborhoods, but they weren't neighborhoods, really rural areas. Like outside of Albany, it's North Cafe Line Road, which runs for miles and miles and miles, and you have homes and trailers mixed in with cow pastures, right? And so there's no rhyme or reason to it. It's not like big subdivisions in big cities or whatever. Springfield, Highway 22 runs from Tangipahoa Parish into Livingston Parish, and when you cross the bridge, you're literally in the town of Springfield, and you're on that Highway 22. But the first road to the right is the McCarroll Road, McCarroll, and if you take the right there, it's a little 2-lane blacktop road that meanders back into the woods. It looks like when you're going, and it's kind of sparsely populated. Maybe a trailer here and a house there, but that's where all the African Americans live. And as you go down McCarroll Road, it becomes a little more populated, but still there's no streets, y'all. There's no subdivisions or anything like that. You just have like this road doesn't even have a divider line down. That's how small it is. And then there's no street lights. And like I said, there's no street signs or anything. It's that road, right? And you go down McCarroll Road, and they had the one area we called the Horseshoe, which is simply just like a U section of the road, which was kind of more populated with trailers and stuff where the residents lived. That area was also a high crime area for narcotics. And back when I worked the streets, or the streets, as they say down there, they called me the wolf because they said I was always down there hunting somebody. And, once I got caught up on regular calls at nighttime, I was. I mean, I would go down there and find probable cause to stop vehicles for whatever the reason may be, whatever law they violated, and to initiate contact with the people that are coming in and out for narcotic search reasons. And so that's what I did. But so I knew a lot of the residents down there is what I'm trying to say. And I never messed anybody over. Back then I could be out in the middle of the street fighting a bad guy that's coming through getting dope, and the people who lived there would come out and help me. I mean, I had to arrest a lot of people and arrest a lot of the same dope dealers over and over again, but I had their respect because I always treated them fairly. And that's going to play into the story in a little bit. But evidently what happened, some of the Springfield, if you can call it that, the McCarroll Road crew got into a fight in the town of Ponchatoula, Louisiana, which is on Highway 22. It's the first major town you come to if you're headed east from Springfield. Okay. And it's probably 10 miles from Springfield, but they got in a fight over there. And evidently the Springfield crew whipped the shit out of the Ponchatoula guys, right? Because now they're getting a posse up and they're going to come back and have retaliation on the Springfield guys. Now, when I came up, y'all, certainly I was from a small town and we had beefs with other towns and stuff like that. And we would go do these kind of fights. And generally it was one or two people were going to be the ones to do the main fight and everybody else would just watch, right? And it wasn't that big of a deal. But when we fought, it was over with. I mean, hell, one time I got knocked out by a guy, and we became really good friends in the years to come, right? Especially after high school. So, and we always had guns. I mean, I always had a gun in my vehicle because I was going hunting before school or after school, and that's just the way it was. But nobody ever brought a damn gun to a fight, right? So, I mean, you just handle your business, and if you won, great, and it was over with. If you didn't win, then you got your ass whipped. You took your lick and you moved on. But not the case in 2006. So on Wednesday, October the 18th, the sheriff's office had been put on high alert, and they agreed, along with the Tangipahoa Parish Sheriff's Office and the Springfield Town Police, to heavily patrol the McCarroll Road area because this fight was supposed to go down. They had a good intelligence of it. And in fact, twice on October the 18th, during the daylight hours, deputies were able to identify a large group of males from Ponchatoula coming in there to start a fight, and they broke it up and ran them off. And yeah, everybody was on high alert, if you will, but it didn't happen until about 9:30 that night. Okay. And on McCarroll Road, the crew from Ponchatoula rolled in like 50 or 60 people. And now think about this, y'all. When I tell you this road is narrow, if there's another car coming, you pretty much got to get over on the shoulder, and it's pretty steep ditches there. It's not like it's not a developed area. I mean, it's just rural, and the ditches were deep. You literally would have to jump across them. But so you got all these vehicles rolling down this dark country road into the settlement for the fight. As soon as they got in the area, residents started calling. Now, the one thing I can say about the settlement areas is everybody knew what was going on. All right. If you came down that road and you didn't live down there, they knew it instantly. And of course, a lot of it was people coming to buy crack and stuff like that. But it's different when you roll in with like 20 cars and they're all from Ponchatoula and everybody bails out to fight. Then all the Springfield guys come out in the street to fight. Well, I told you we were on high alert, and two of our uniformed deputies pulled up on the scene almost immediately and get out. They light up the area with their spotlights, and it's a mob. It's a damn mob, and they start fighting. They don't care. They light it up with the spotlights, turn the strobe lights on. Hey, the cops are on the scene. They get out of their cars, and the fight is raging, and they don't care. They're still fighting. And it's not like an honorable type of fighting when it's a mass mob like that, where it's two guys standing there duking it out. I'm talking about where the crowd's running behind, there'll be 10 people fighting in the middle, and somebody runs up from the back and sucker punches somebody and runs off, and it's just mass confusion. There's no rhyme or reason to it or whatever. But so the deputies are out and they are actively trying to put hands on people. But what do you do? Shit, there's two of you. And of course they called for backup and everybody was responding, but it's a long ways down there, y'all. And then, the fight's raging underneath the reflection of the red, blue, and white strobe lights that are on the top of the police cars. And just when you think it can't get any crazier, you hear bam! And literally, there was a gunshot that went off not even 10 feet from the two deputies. And let me tell you this, I've been shot at, I've been in crowds when guns have gone off like that, and there is nothing that will clear a crowd quicker than a little gunfire. That's what I always say. And I've been there and I've seen it. It's those flash mob things or whatever they call them, where people go in the mall and everybody on social media agrees to freeze at a certain moment. It looks like everything's frozen in time. But that's exactly what happens when gunfire goes off in a crowd like that. For about 2 nanoseconds, everybody freezes because there's no mistaking the sound of a firearm going off in that tight of confined space with that many people. Everybody freezes it, and then it takes their brain 2 nanoseconds to register, like, oh, fuck, gunfire, right? Then the pandemonium really kicks off. Everybody's running, screaming, hollering, and trying to get away from the sound where the gunshot came from, but you can't just go running your vehicle. It's not like they're on the interstate. I mean, all these vehicles are stacked up. It's a traffic jam. It's a human body jam because of the narrow roads. So people are jumping ditches, hitting the woods, except for Desmond Gayton, who was in the fight. Desmond Gayton, that's Gaten, y'all, was there with his brother, Patrick, and with another brother of his that was 14 years of age, a juvenile. And they were fighting on the Ponchatoula side, okay? But I told you it was a mass mob. Everybody's running around, and the gunshot goes off. The only one who didn't run for cover was Desmond Gayton. He was shot once in the back. He actually ran towards the sheriff's deputies' units, and he collapsed to the ground, bleeding to death from a gunshot wound to his back. Fell right in front of the cop car. And his brother, Patrick, ran over to him, and once he saw he was shot, and he actually held him in his arms until he died. And Patrick said he was holding him when Desmond took his last breath. So what happens then? Well, the deputies are going to scream out on the radio, shots fired, and they're going to 1033 the net, which means they're going to hold the radio, the police band radios for emergency traffic only, which means the guys on the scene. Now, everybody's responding, okay? The Albany town unit's responding. The Springfield police are responding. The Louisiana State Police are responding. Every sheriff's deputy that was on duty, that wasn't actively on a call, east and west side of the parish is responding, because the call goes out, it's shots fired, one person down, large mob, 50 to 60 people, et cetera, right? So everybody's responding. Well, I'm at home. I mean, like I told you, it's like 9:30 or so at night, and my pager goes off. And yes, that's back in the day when we had pagers. The pager goes off. It said 10:19, 10:18, McCarroll Road shooting, one person down. Well, what that means, y'all, the 10:19 means go to. That's cop code. Go to. 10:18 means as fast as you can, and of course the rest is self-explanatory. Now, I was a long ways away. I lived way up at the time in the northwest part of the parish, and so I jumped in my unmarked, and I'm hauling ass as fast as I can all the way across the parish, and I have my radio tuned to the station, or the TAC is what they call it. They have different bands, like TAC 1 was for the west side of the parish, TAC 2 is for the east side of the parish. So as a split up for law enforcement, so all the deputies aren't talking on top of each other. But I'm listening as I'm driving, and I'm hearing other units responding on the scene. When you get out on it, you go, hey, my number was 201. When I got there, I was called in dispatch 201's on scene, right? Then what they do is they log out who gets there at what time, et cetera. But anyway, before I got there, almost everybody else had made it. All the other detectives, special response team members, SWAT. I mean, it was a mash. I couldn't get within a quarter of a mile of the actual shooting scene just because of the amount of police cars blocking the road by this time. And so I get there and I walk up to the scene. Now, you talk about a shit show, okay? The one thing you want to do as a detective, especially on a homicide case, is secure your scene. And that's, where you see it in the TV shows and they rope the area off, et cetera. Well, imagine trying to rope this off, all right? Part of your crime scene is going to be the two deputies' cars that were there when the gunshot was fired. Plus, it's just, cars everywhere, people everywhere. By this time, the Gaden family has been the ones that lived called Ponchatoula, and their family members are coming, and I mean it's a real shit show. So the first thing you have to do is crowd control and establish your crime scene. Well, easier said than done. But I get there, I meet with the detectives, and we're like, okay, they had some crime scene tape up. We try to spread it out a little bit further, and then we divided and conquered. Now, I saw the deceased on the ground. He was definitely dead at the time. And so we start to photograph the scene, call the Louisiana State Police Crime Lab out. It's going to take them an hour and a half or so to get there. Let them physically process the scene and do their own photographs, et cetera. And in the meantime, we decided who was going to try to spread out into the crowd and talk to the neighbors, et cetera, and see what happened and try to develop a suspect. And that's what we did. So, as I told you, in the you can, lack of a better term, say hood, down in the settlement or the hood like that, we knew everybody. And from over the years of dealing with them, and like I said, you treat them with respect, you get the respect back. And there was always seems to be one family that's kind of the most respected, if you will. They've been living there the longest since they were kids. And I'm not going to use their names, y'all, but there was a matriarch of this family who lived there, and she had grown kids now who were out on the scene and grandkids. And
Hey, ladies, are you feeling overwhelmed by hormonal changes? Well, you're definitely not alone. There are more than 1,000 hormone disruptors living in our environment right now. It's in your food, your water, the air you breathe, the clothes you wear, your skincare products. They all mess with your hormones. Then there's the natural hormone changes your body goes through, premenopause, menopause. And while it's a natural process, it doesn't mean you have to suffer through it. The good news is you don't have to suffer through it anymore, because now you have Hormone Harmony, a formula made only with herbal ingredients that are shown to reduce hormonal symptoms in women of all ages. Hormone Harmony is not just a hormone support and supplement. It's become a phenomenon. Women can't stop talking about it on social media. A bottle of Hormone Harmony is sold every 24 seconds. And the biggest benefit? Well, my wife says it makes her feel like her own self again. And that's what women mention over and over in the reviews. And there are over 30,000 reviews for Hormone Harmony. And for a limited time, you can get 15% off your entire first order at happymammoth.com. Just use code RLRC at checkout. That's happymammoth.com and use code RLRC for 15% off today. That's happymammoth.com and use code RLRC. Hey y'all, let me tell you about Mochi. Mochi is a telehealth platform that connects patients seeking medication-based weight loss treatment with board-certified doctors and dietitians to help them determine the best treatment options to accomplish that goal. Mochi's program is completely virtual, meaning you can access their services anywhere in the United States and you will be meeting with their team online. You deserve doctors that listen. Mochi is dedicated to providing holistic, patient-centered care that prioritizes overall well-being with the goal of transforming how weight management is approached. Mochi Health takes a holistic approach to weight loss that includes visit with board-certified doctors, nutrition consultations, and medications delivered to your door. Science-backed medications including GLP-1s like Ozempic and generic compound versions, affordable and accessible regardless of insurance coverage. With Mochi, their dietitians work hand in hand with your medication to create personalized nutrition plans that fit your lifestyle. Reach your weight loss goals with science-backed, FDA-approved GLP-1 medications and support from real doctors and guidance from registered dietitians and help with making easy and sustainable changes to achieve results. Y'all have seen this. My wife has done it. My brother-in-law has done it. One of my best friends is doing it, and it really is an amazing process that works. So get started at joinmochi.com and use code RLRC to receive $40 off. That's joinmochi.com and use code RLRC to receive $40 off and let Mochi help change your life.
And so we went to her to talk to her because, as they say, the streets talk, and that's SCREETS. And so, so I'm going to go talk, to her and see what she's heard, right? And so I went to her trailer, which was like probably 200 yards from where the victim was on the ground and the fight was taking place. And I went there and I said, hey, need some help. Obviously, guy's dead and we need to know what the hell happened. What have you heard? And she cooperated and she said, I can tell you that 2 of my kids that I was familiar with, I had arrested both of them on prior occasions for different charges. One was a male, one was female, adults. She said they saw what happened. And so we were able to get them independent from one another. And they both told us that a 14-year-old, the juvenile, actually the deceased younger brother, is the one that shot him in the back. They said his other brother who was there on the scene, street named J-Rock, it was actually the one that was holding the firearm when the big fight broke out. And he turned around and gave the pistol to his 14-year-old younger brother. And that the younger brother is the one who shot Desmond Gayden in the back. Now, Jeremy Gayden was 20 years old. He's the one who allegedly, he's the one that they told us and gave sworn statements that he turned around and handed the pistol to the 14-year-old who shot their other brother, Desmond. Now, remember, they had another Gayden brother that was there also, Patrick, and he's the one who held Desmond until he died. So, shot him 10 feet from where the deputies were trying to break up the fight. So that's what we had to roll with, y'all. And Stan Carpenter was our chief of detectives at the time, and he said, look, we can get warrants for him and get him arrested. So based off of those statements. Now, we didn't have anything else. That nobody else was talking. Nobody else was saying who did it. That we didn't just talk to them, to that family. We try to talk to everybody. And of course, a big thing that down there is that they don't tell on each other most of the time. So we were, hitting dead ends, no pun intended, trying to interview other witnesses, et cetera. But it all came back to the 14-year-old shot his brother in the back. And we don't believe it, certainly don't believe it was intentional. So what do? The mob scene is going on. They getting the crowd to disperse as the time goes by. Now, y'all, it's late. I'm talking about a span of 5 and 6 hours. We're on the scene, getting these statements, beating the bushes, if you will, trying to find other people to talk to, et cetera. But again, the only information we got was that the 14-year-old who was from Ponchatoula, as was the victim, that his brother J-Rock handed him the gun and he shot him. So there you go. I don't know how that family knew who these guys were, but they knew them. They were able to call them by name, so that gave some validity to what they were saying. And that, and the fact that we didn't have anything, from anybody else, right? I mean, that's it. So I don't know who went and got the warrants made and signed up, but that was done. And this is over the period of the whole night, y'all. And the warrants were ended up being served on the 14-year-old and J-Rock. J-Rock was booked into Livingston Parish Jail on second-degree murder, illegal carrying of a firearm, inciting a riot, and or principal to second-degree murder for bringing the firearm there, illegal carrying of a firearm, inciting a riot, and obstruction of public passage. And the obstruction of public passage is for simply being on the road. There is a law. If you have your feet on the street, you can be arrested for. So he gets booked for that. The 14-year-old gets booked into the Florida Parish's Juvenile Detention Center. And y'all, I told y'all about this in another story. I don't remember which one, but I was a supervisor there until like 1998. I was a sergeant there. And it's not a hug-a-thug program. It is a badass place for badass kids. And all the kids that are in there for murder, rape, armed robbery, serious offenses. But the Florida parishes encompasses Livingston Parish, St. Helena Parish, Tangipahoa Parish, St. Tammany Parish, and Washington Parish. And what those parishes do is each one of them allocates a certain percentage of their tax money to foot their part of running Florida Parish Juvenile Detention Center. Shit, it was a prison. I mean, it's a maximum security. Each one of them had their own cell with steel doors, not bars, etc. You didn't want to go there. I'm telling you, it wasn't a great place. So the 14-year-old's locked up there on the charge of second-degree murder and illegal carrying of a firearm, and I think obstruction of public passage. Okay, so the Desmond, the victim, the next day goes to the autopsy. He died from the gunshot wound to his back and then went into his vital organs. And of course, he bled out on the scene, and time marches on, right? So now what do you have? You have this beef that rolled over from an initial fight that started in Ponchatoula. Somebody got their ass whipped and got their feelings hurt. And then so they want to bring it to Livingston Parish. And it comes over there, and some dickhead has to bring a gun to a fist fight, and somebody died, right? And I don't get that. But anyway, now think about the emotions. If they were jacked up before because somebody got their ass whipped in their hometown, in a fist fight, and then they come over to Livingston Parish and one of them gets killed, and then two of them get locked up. Now the retaliation is certain. Okay, and not only were the streets talking, it was imminent that the Tangipahoa guys, both from the city of Hammond and Ponchatoula, were coming back, and there was going to be hell to pay, and it was going to be gunfire because one of their guys was dead. So what happened was Sheriff Graves called the meeting, and this is like early, right after we got done working Gaydon's homicide scene. He calls in Jason R., the SWAT team commander, and the shift supervisors, everybody, and says, this is the deal. I want everybody that's off duty to be down there, and I want the SWAT team to be down there, and I want them to know if they come through there and they're not from there, you handle your business. And I'm going to tell you what they did over the course of the next 2 days. They made 42 felony arrests in that area. Basically, if you were coming down there for whatever reason, and you weren't from there, your ass was going to jail. 42 good felony arrests. And I could read the list to you, y'all. It's all, possession of firearms, selling of, narcotics, and I mean, all good charges, good felony charges. There were some who resisted the cops and ran and followed them and stuff like that, and they got their issue. 42 felony arrests, and I think another 17 misdemeanor arrests, which means that, then maybe they had some weed on them or whatever, or a crack pipe or whatever. Everybody went to jail, hell or jail, and it wasn't going to be hell. So, I mean, that's the way you do it. And when I worked in the Department of Corrections in 91, the DCI, Dixon Correctional Institute, they had a crawfish plant this time of the year that they ran 24 hours a day, and the inmates had to work in 12-hour shifts. And in that 12-hour shift, they had to peel, I think it was like 14 pounds of just crawfish tail meat. They had to weigh that on the scale. They had peeled that, and that's a hell of a lot of crawfish, y'all. And if they didn't meet that goal, they got locked up and went to the hole, right? And I remember I was working the rec room, and it was right at shift change, and it was work call. And I called them out to go to work for the crawfish plant, and they bucked up. The big mob of them were like, "Fuck it, we're not going." And so I called it in. Warden came down and said, "This is how you handle this." He said, "You go up to one of them and you give them a direct verbal order to go to work. And if they say no, you place them in handcuffs. We send them to the hole. We do that until we get the mob to move." And that's what happened. After about the fifth one, we put them in handcuffs and hauled them off. Everybody else was like, "Fuck it, we're going to peel crawfish," right? So the same thing concept Willie Graves was doing. He didn't play, y'all. You flood the area by force. You let them know, hey, you come down here behind this bullshit or anything else, your ass is going to jail. We don't care. And we'll put you in jail, and the district attorney can decide what to do with the charges later on, whether to let you in or out. But the point was to do good law enforcement and to prevent a mass shooting. Matter of fact, that the very next night was Springfield, the town of homecoming parade, and it got canceled. And some say it was due to the weather, but I think it was due to that it was too easy of a target for a retaliation with gunfire, especially too hard to defend. So it goes on. And I was down there. I partook in part of that, but I got a tip from another confidential informant. It would be the proper term, but another person that from down in the Horseshoe area that I was cool with, and he called me and said, "Wolf," he said, "you need to go talk to this guy," and his name was Darian Armstrong. That he wanted me to go talk to. I said, "Why do I need to go talk to him?" He said, "Because y'all got the wrong dude in jail on murder charge. You arrested the wrong people." I said, "What do you mean?" He said, "Man, I'm just telling you, Darian ain't been acting right that night. Since then, he's been crying. He won't come out of his house." And he said, I think he's the one that shot him. He said, "I'm not sure, Wolf, but I'm pretty sure, he said, "I'm just pretty sure, but you need to talk to him." So I sent somebody down there to pick him up, and he wasn't there or whatever, so I rode down. And now that Darian, Armstrong, I didn't know him. He wasn't a frequent flyer. His family was a good family. I knew his daddy, but not from being in trouble, just from the neighborhood. I would go down there back in the day, and if they were having a bonfire on the side of the road in the wintertime, I'd get out and hang out with them and shoot the breeze with them and stuff, right? So, but this Darian Armstrong was 19 years old. He's a college student, never been in trouble a day in his life. So I ended up riding down there and knocking on the door and talked to his dad. I said, "Hey, there's Darian here." And he was like, "What's up?" And I said, "I just need to talk to him." And he came out and I talked to him. I said, "Darian, do you mind coming to my office and sitting with me and having a chat?" And he was like, "No, sir, I don't." And then very polite, very well spoken. And we rode up to my office. And I get him in there, and the whole time I'm just kind of chatting with him, trying to break the ice with him. And I could read it on him, y'all. I mean, there's something there, but he's trying to keep up the appearance that everything's straight. But so I was just chatting, but he never really asked why what we're going to talk about. I said, I just, need to talk to you, and for him not to ask back, that was a big red flag, right? So we get up to the office, and I had a little private office, and I did polygraphs also. And I got him in there, and I said, hey, Darren, look, before we start talking, I want to advise you your Miranda rights. I said, you have the right to remain silent. Anything you say can and will be used against you in a court of law. You have the right to an attorney prior to and during question. You can't afford one, a court appointment one for you. I said, but don't say anything. I said, I just want you to understand your rights. And I said, Darren, I've been doing this for so long, man. If I go anywhere and before I ask anybody a question, I can go to Burger King and ask them what's on sale. And before they respond, I advise them their rights because I never know what they're going to say. I said, I'm certainly not accusing you of anything or anything like that. I just want you to understand your rights. I said, do you understand your rights? He said, yes, sir. And I said, cool. Now, I got a form now. Everything I just told you, this is just a formality. And I slid the Livingston Parish Sheriff's Office Miranda rights form. Had everything I just read. I said, just read there for me and initial each line for me, if you don't mind. And when you get to the bottom part, it says consent to questioning. It says, I've made no threats or promises to you to get you to talk, and you understand you have the right to stop talking anytime or answering questions anytime, et cetera, et cetera. It's standard form, y'all. And what I'm trying to do, I'm trying to get him past Miranda. I don't want him lawyering up before I get a chance to talk to him. Because the more time I spend with him, the more I know this is just about to get real. And so he was like, he kind of paused and read and whatever. And, then he went ahead and signed it, right? What's he going to do? He's already rode up to my office with me. And I told him he signed it. And I said, cool, man. I said, what I'm here about is what happened the other night on Wednesday night. And he's kind of looking at me. And I said, look, the shooting. And he said, yes, sir. And he said, I wasn't there. I said, all right, cool. And then I said, I accept that. And can you tell me what you know about it? And he was like, well, I don't know too much. I know a guy from Ponchatoula got shot, and I know he got killed. And I said, all right. And at this time, y'all, I'm starting to set him up, and not threatening him or challenging him or cutting off his denials or anything like that. Because what I want to do is get him to take a polygraph. And so we talk about it. I let him get his denials in, et cetera. And then I told him, I said, well, you know what? I said, I believe you. And I said, but the easiest way we can resolve the situation is you let me give you a polygraph. I said, you know what a polygraph is? He said, yes, sir. I said, let me give you a polygraph. You pass it, no problem. I'm bringing you back home, and we're straight. And everybody, nobody will can say shit about you anymore. You know what I mean? They'll know that the wolf was on your side, and you're good. And he kind of had his hand on his head on his hand and was looking at me. I said, will you take the polygraph? I said, look, if you could pass it, take it. If you can't pass it, don't take it with me. Because you're not going to cheat me and you're not going to beat me. I said, it's totally up to you, Austin, whatever you want to do. And he said, okay, I'll take it. So I had him sign a consent to polygraph form. And then I really started my work, y'all. Now, the polygraph is a long process, especially when done correctly. It's basically has 3 parts: the pre-test interview, the actual test itself, and then the post-test interview or interrogation, whichever it's going to be. Now, in the pre-test interview, you are doing nothing but trying to get this person's trust, right? And trying to break down whatever, just, put the human face on you, make that bond, make that connection. It's really an art form. It really is. And so I took my time with him. No sense of rushing, right? I'm only going to get the chance at this once. And so in the pre-test interview, you go over the Miranda rights and the consent part, which I already did. And Then you go over a bunch of medical questions, and that's for me to determine whether or not they're mentally and physically able to take the test, to complete the test satisfactorily. And we get past that, and then, during that, you're asking about family history and then whatever, and I ask him what he likes to do, and I find out he reads every night. And I'm like, hey, I read every night too, and I do. He's in college, and I think he wants to be a journalist. And so we're talking about all this stuff. I'm taking his mind off that night while I'm going through it, right? But we're making that bond. And I said, you know what? He was always, yes, sir, yes, sir. And I was like, you know what? I said, it's obviously your daddy raised you right. I said, I tell everybody, yes, sir, or yes, ma'am, or no, sir, no, ma'am. I said, that's just manners. He said, yes, sir, that's the way my daddy raised me. I said, well, it's the way I raised my kids. It's just totally, y'all, trying to find that common ground to work with him. And then the next part of the pretest interview is where you develop the questions for the test. Now, the relevant questions, which are important here, relevant questions for this were, did you shoot that man? And I tell him, I said, we have to make up these questions. I said, what we're talking about, Wednesday night around 9:30 on McCarroll Road, a guy got shot and he died. And he said, yes, sir. And I said, you told me you weren't even there. He said, no, sir, I wasn't. I said, all right. So I said, did you shoot that man? I said, I don't care if you've been shooting guys every day for the rest of your entire life. And when I ask you that question, I'm only talking about the Gaydon victim who died that night on McCarroll Road. He said, I understand. And I said, so did you shoot that man? He said, no, sir, I did not. I said, okay. I said, the next question I want to ask you is, it's real simple. Did you?
Hey, y'all, let me tell you about Gobble. All Gobble meal kits are pre-prepped. That means less work for you and less waste in your kitchen. Their meal kits include everything you need so you can save time at the store or just skip that trip entirely. I got the box in and I had 3 different meals. I had a Kung Pao chicken, crispy fish tacos, and a beef bourguignon, however you say it. But let me tell you about the classic beef bourguignon. Look, it came with beef pot roast and a beef broth concentrate, red wine demi-glaze, cremini mushrooms, cipollone onions, mashed potatoes, baby carrots, and rosemary thyme butter. It was so easy to make. Literally like 15 minutes it took Cindy. And let me tell you something, all the dishes were fire, but this thing was like a taste explosion in my mouth. It's just unreal. We've got to spend more time together and more time doing the things we love because everything came in this one single box right to my door. So see what a difference Gobble will make for your household. Right now, they're offering my listeners a fantastic limited time deal. You get $120 off across 4 boxes plus free shipping and free cookies. And let me tell you, those cookies, I ate one that was sin baked and it was delicious. Go to gobble.com/real life. That's GOBBLE.com/real life for $120 off your first 4 boxes. This offer is not available on the home site, so don't miss out. This is genius. It's taste explosions in your mouth like you never had. Hey, y'all. You want to set your child up for success? Is your child struggling with a specific subject or need help with the subject? Is your child ahead, not getting challenged enough in class? Well, IXL Learning is an online learning program that enriches your homeschool curriculum. It offers practice in math, English, language arts, science, and social studies while adapting to each child, meeting them where they are. Plus, IXL encourages students to become curious and empowers them to choose how to learn. Look, we homeschool our son. No doubt about it. He's more of a visual learner, and we use IXL, and Cindy teaches him, and there are so many different benefits to the program. It adapts to exactly what he needs in different areas. So IXL is the perfect supplement to your homeschool curriculum. IXL offers interactive practice problems, educational games, lessons, and video tutorials for every topic you're teaching at home. It's easy to use, time-saving. Everything on IXL is organized by grade, subject, topic, and subtopic, making it simple to find activities for the exact skills you are covering. IXL offers instant feedback and explanations of new topics as kids use the program. Kids can explore any topic in any grade level. They aren't forced into a single learning path like they are on other programs. If you're homeschooling your child because they were falling behind or because they were too far ahead like our son, IXL is a great program to help them get the exact support they need. Kids love IXL's positive feedback awards and educational games. IXL is trusted by 15 million students worldwide and has proven to improve performance in over 75 scientific research studies. Make an impact on your child's learning. Get IXL now. And Real Life, Real Crime listeners can get an exclusive 20% off IXL membership when they sign up today at IXL.com/today. Visit IXL.com/today to get the most effective learning program out there at the best price. And don't forget, Real Life, Real Crime listeners get 20% off. Y'all, we really do use this product, and it's been a godsend.
You shoot that man that night. And by that night, I mean Wednesday night on McCarroll Road when the guy died right next to the police car. I said, I don't care about any other night in your entire life. And I said, did you shoot that man that night? Basically, it's a continuation of the first question. Did you shoot that man? No. Did you shoot that man that night? And that night clearly defined as Wednesday, October 18th, around 9:30 p.m. on McCarroll Road. He said, no, I did not. So then you go into you explain how the polygraph works, and you have to put in some other questions like, are you now sitting down, and whatever, some comparison questions and all that. But the polygraph itself, the test is really short. It only takes a couple of minutes. It's 25 seconds between each question. And I think I may have had maybe 5 or 6 questions on this test. And so you ask a question, he answers, and there's 25 seconds. Then you ask the next question, they answer in 25 seconds, and the test is complete. But you do the test at least 2 times under Louisiana law for it to be valid, but generally you do it 3 or more. And so the reason for that is as the test goes along, they're going to get more or less nervous depending on whether or not they're telling the truth, right? So you had the blood pressure cuff on their arm, and it would be a little tight, so you let that artery rest for a minute. So you ask the questions once, then you stop and take a couple minute break, and I tell them, don't talk. I said, you can move around if you need to or whatever, scratch, itch. Don't ask me anything. Just sit there and be still. And I'm going to let your arm rest for a minute, and then we're going to do it again. Well, meanwhile, I'm going in and I'm adjusting my instrument to his body's physiology, whatever he's doing, balancing it out again. And then we do it the second time, and then we do it the third time. Well, guess what? Well, let me back up for a second. Even before I asked the main test questions, I did what I call a practice or an acquaintance test, in which I have him lie to me on 1 out of 8 questions. I don't know which question it is he's chosen to lie about. At the end of that test, now I attach him to the instrument, and I give him 8 questions. I said, pick one of these. Don't tell me which one it is. Write it down with the opposite hand that you normally write with. Fold it up where I can't see it. Let me know when I can turn back around. He does it. And I go on the test. I ask him, did you pick question 1? And I have him say no. I have him say no to every question 1 through 8, including no to the question that he picked. And when he says no to the question he picked, what's he doing? He's lying. And I did that test, and I got his number right. I think he lied about question number 3. And so at the end, that's called setting their psychological set, right? So when he's attached to the instrument, he knows the test about the murder's coming, and he just lied to me about something that didn't make a damn bit of difference in the world. He's not going to get in trouble for it. At the end of the test, I tell him immediately, I say, you pick question number 3. He's like, his eyes go wide. He's like, holy shit. And he starts sweating, right? And he's like, holy shit. And I tell him, I said, look, man, I proved it to you that I can get it right on the polygraph. I said, so if your body responds every time you lie. Your physiology, actually, there's no lie detector. It's just an instrument that takes a picture of what's going on inside of your body in times of stress. And I said, if I can get you on that little bitty lie, what's it going to look like if you lie to me about murdering this guy? And then that's called setting the psychological set. And then I immediately go into the main test. I ask the question, are you now sitting down? Yes. The second question is not scored. It's called a sacrifice relevant. And I said, regarding the murder of that guy on McCarroll Road, do you intend to answer each question truthfully? And I asked that question, and I say murder because it helps take some of the emotion out of him hearing the following questions. And he says yes. And then I asked him a comparison question. Then I asked him the first relevant, which is, did you shoot that man? And he says no. And my chart blows up. I'm talking about the polygraph measures 3 areas. It measures your intercostals and your abdominal muscles. That's the tubes you see across your chest. It measures your skin sweat. They used to call it galvanic skin response. Now they call it electrodermal activity. And it measures your heart rate or any different amount of blood flow to your artery. His shit went off the page. So I knew. I tell him I'm not scoring the test as it goes along. I'm just keeping everything straight, making sure you're not trying to cheat, et cetera. Don't pay any attention to me. Well, I am scoring as it goes along. I'm doing the math in my head, but if anybody could have seen this guy had a serious problem when I asked him, did you shoot that man? Blew it up. When I got to the question, second relevant question, did you shoot that man that night? Blew it up. I'm talking about his responses were so strong on my charts that I actually had to bring them back down before to a baseline before I could ask the next question. So we did that the first time, stop, give him a break. I'm actually sitting there with my poker face on, acting like nothing's wrong. Do it the second time, he feels it worse, okay? And stop, take the break, poker face on. We do it the third time. There's no way I'm not running the third chart on this one because it's just too perfect of a failure. And he blows it up. And we get done. I unattach him from the instrument. And generally, I send people out of the room and say, I need time to score it, et cetera. But I didn't do it with him, right? And we got done, and he's sitting there. Look, when I took the finger plates off, he had his arms up on the polygraph chair, took his finger plates off. He had pools of sweat underneath his hand, literally, I mean, like a puddle. He was so jacked up emotionally. So I got done and I said, listen, there's no doubt in my mind, 1,000% that you shot that man, Darian, and that you're not being truthful with me when I asked you those 2 relevant questions. Did you shoot that man? Did you shoot that man that night? He tried to say, no. And I said, no. I said, just stop, dude. I said, I like you. And I said, you're a nice young man. You're very intelligent. You're very well spoken. Your parents have raised you well. I said, there's no way. I'm not going to sit here and let you tell me that you didn't shoot that man, right? I said, here's the deal. I said, I said, do you know what a Polaroid camera is? And he said, yes, sir. I said, the old ones where you push the button and it spits the picture out and you have to wave it around for a second, for the picture to develop. And he said, yes, sir. I said, if I gave you a Polaroid camera right now, and I said, Darian, take a picture of me. And you take the picture of me and it snaps out and you hold the picture in your hand, you wave it around and the picture comes clear. And there I am sitting here in the room. You just took the picture and you handed that picture to me. And I looked at it and I said, that's not me. And then I said, that would be just as stupid as you trying to lie to me and tell me that you didn't shoot that man. I said, I don't believe you're a stone cold killer and you've never been in trouble before, not even a misdemeanor arrest. You've never been arrested in your entire life. And I said, so you got to put the human face on you. You got to tell me what the fuck happened. I said, because this is serious. I said, that boy's dead. He's never coming back. And I said, now, I don't believe you did it intentionally, but if you continue to deny it, or if you want to sit there and lie to me and say that you didn't do it, then I got no other choice to believe you're some type of stone cold killer. I said, and I don't believe that about you. And he stopped. And the whole time I've been talking to him, he was sliding down, literally sliding down. And he didn't realize he was just slumping. It was the feet in it, right? And I knew I had his ass. And he stopped and he started crying. And I moved in close to him. I put my hand on his leg and I put my arm around him. I say, man, we're all human beings. I said, you fucked up, but you got to tell me about it, or you're a monster. And don't tell me anything at all. And he cried and then starts sobbing. And I've got my arm on him. I say, hey, man, help me help you. That's how we're going to get through this. I will walk you through this process. It doesn't have to be as bad. I said, that dude ain't coming back. He's dead or in shit. I said, but I can help get you through the process. And he stopped and he took a deep breath and he looked up at me and my face was right by his face. He looked up at me and he said, Mr. Woody? I said, yeah. Darian, he said, I shot that man. And before I could say anything, he said, I shot that man on McCarroll Road Wednesday night. And I'm like, I know you did. And I'm inside, I'm going, yeah, motherfucker, I got you now, right? And so but I'm like, all right, man, all right, cool. And we could work with that. I said, but you got to tell me what happened. Now, y'all, I'm audio and video recording everything through the polygraph anyway, right? So I didn't have to stop for a recorder and all that bullshit. And I said, tell me what happened. I said, you lied to me. Obviously, in the beginning, I understand that. You're in self-preservation. But now you got to tell me the whole truth, dude, and make it like a movie. Paint it for me, step by step. And he told me, he said they were coming to fight. And he said, I'm not a fighter. And he said, when I went, he said, I brought a pistol. And he said, I went to the fight, and the fight broke out, and people were running around and hitting people. And he said, I took the pistol out, and then he said, I shot it. And he said, and I hit that dude. And he said, I said, what'd you do then? He said, I turned around and I hauled ass. I ran. And my next question logically is, what'd you do with the gun? He said, I threw it in the cane thicket off the horseshoe. And y'all, cane thicket is down there. It's kind of swampy in the low-lying areas. They have bamboo growth that'll sprout up, and they're real thick. And that's what he's talking about. He threw it in the bamboo. When he said cane thicket, I knew what he meant, in the bamboo section of the woods. He said, and I went home, man. He said, I've been so sick about it since. And he said, and I was praying that he wasn't dead, and I heard he was dead. And I said, I know, brother, I got you. And I said, it's going to be all right. And I said, I said, you're a human being. You made a mistake. I said, but, we got to get that pistol. And he kind of looked at me, and I said, yeah, man, think about it. I said, think about one of the kids from the neighborhood goes walking to town or whatever, and they find that pistol. What if they accidentally shoot themselves? I said, then you got 2 dead bodies on your hand. And he shook his head, yeah. And by this time, it's like 3:00 in the morning. So, and Brad Truell, I think, was my partner at the time. And I called him, and I called Stan and him. I said, look, we got the wrong guys in jail, y'all. And I said, this dude just confessed to the murder the other night. And so I got Brad, and I can't remember who else came and met me at the courthouse at my office. And I put Darian in handcuffs. I placed him under arrest. And I told him, I said, we got to go down there. You got to show me where you threw the gun. And we did. We went down there. He cooperated fully. Got him out in handcuffs and shackles, and about the area of the cane thicket or the bamboo thicket where he said he threw the weapon, and Brad Truell found it, and we secured it. And I took him in and I booked him on second-degree murder, because we always start out with the highest charge, and basically it really was second-degree murder. I mean, he didn't say he accidentally fired a gun. He said he shot that motherfucker. But reason why, I'll never know. Hats off to the kid and his parents from being raised correctly and fessing up to it when his back's against the wall. And I don't know how many years he got. I know it never went to trial because I never got subpoenaed on it. And I would imagine, y'all, they probably gave him 20 or 30 years. But, the second degree murder is life in prison at hard labor, like the hard labor I told you all about, the crawfish plant. That's fucking hard labor, right? And he probably, I can't see him giving me less than 20 or 30 years because he killed that young man. And I'm sure his family was adamant about it. Now, the Tangipahoa Parish and Livingston Parish both have the same district attorney and the same judges, so I'm sure they gave him pretty stiff sentence. I guess I can go look it up, but anyway, that's it. And I remember it distinctly. Now the J-Rock and the 14-year-old that during that time, they dropped the second degree murder charges on them, but they kept them locked up on the illegal carrying of a firearm and the obstruction of public passage and then inciting a riot. Now let's digress for a second and talk about the two adults that gave us the name of the 14-year-old and said that they saw J-Rock hand that kid a pistol and that the kids did the shooting. Well, I don't know. I mean, but the eyewitness testimony, I'll be the first one to tell you, is the most fucked up thing that you can use. And because generally it's because they're under such high stress. You know, if the person's been shot or raped or whatever, a lot of times they'll get it wrong. It's just because of high stress. Then you have the flip side of it where you got people who have access to crime or beefs and they just fucking lie, right? And so I don't know why they said what they said. If they had a beef with the Gatons, I don't know. But you can't do anything against them. That's why the sheriff was able to leave them locked up on the weapons charge, because at that point in time, you sent it to the district attorney, and I'm sure it was dropped at a later date. But the longer they stayed locked up, the less chance there was for retribution, right? And so that's how it played out. But I'm sure they were let go eventually. That's it. And y'all, you've got to listen to my next episode. Totally separate, major, huge crime that I'm going to tell about. You never heard this story, I promise you. It's a big one. But the deal is, it ties back into I shot that man. Totally different crime. Totally different good crime. A great story. But it ties back into this case. And you'll never guess it in a million years. As a matter of fact, I'll give you $1 million if you can figure it out before I release the episode. So y'all make sure to tune in and listen to the next episode. I don't know what I'm going to name it yet because I hadn't thought about it. But it ties back into this case directly, and it's going to blow your mind. But that being said, I appreciate you listening. We love and appreciate each and every one of y'all. Thank you for tuning in or whatever you call it, or downloading Real Life, Real Crime, the podcast. Our fans are the best in the world. I appreciate you sharing and liking us. And y'all know we have all the Facebook pages and all that stuff. Our Real Life, Real Crime Friends, Fans, and Crew page, KREWE, is over 18,400 members now. And so if you're not a member of that and you like Real Life, Real Crime, go check it out. You have to be admitted to the group. We have the Dream Team moderators. You submit your application or whatever the hell they call it, and they'll get you approved, no problems. But it's all true crime in there, y'all. It's a lot of great stuff. More stuff on Jim Rathman and I, and more stuff on cases we work, and just a lot of great true crime information, period. So check that out. Check out our other pages. Check out our YouTube channel. We've been putting up some videos. Jim's been going live on Thursday nights from YouTube, live with the Hitman at 7:45 p.m. Central Standard Time. Y'all check that out. Patron members. Oh, man. Really, really appreciate you. Thank you so much, especially in these hard times, y'all. And look, if you can't be a patron member, I get it. I'm going to love you just as much. But patron members, you've already had one episode put up for you this month, that Jim's first solo ever episode he did put up for y'all because of the quarantine. He recorded it, but I'm doing some more special stuff for you this weekend. I'm going to do some more videos, but everybody out there that's listening, you know, we had put our Walker Live that Jim and I did at the Livingston Parish Literacy and Technology Center. We sold it out 3 nights in a row. In Southeastern Louisiana University did the audio and the video recording for it, and we had put it up for sale right about the time that the Corona thing kicks out with the shutdowns and all that. And we had it for sale for $25. Now we're giving it to everybody, every patron member that's Vandalism tier or above. That's the tier that you subscribe to that gets you all the bonus episodes anyway. I think we have like 10 hours of extra episodes in there now, plus some videos that I've made. And now if you subscribe Vandalism or up, you get the Walker Live video, our first live that we ever did, public live. And so that's added to it. And like I said, we're going to add more stuff. And patron members, we need you now more than ever. And we appreciate you. And, but y'all, I guess I could just run on and on. I'm sure I'm forgetting something that I'm supposed to say as a podcaster, but I don't know. Love and appreciate each and every one of y'all. And I'm Woody Overton, your host of Real Life, Real Crime, the podcast. And until next time or ever, don't let us catch you down on murder by you. Peace.
Get ready, you're gonna do time. Real life, real crime.
It is Ryan here, and I have a question for you. What do you do when you win? Like, are you a fist pumper, a woohooer, a hand clapper, a high fiver? If you want to hone in on those winning moves, check out Chumba Casino. Choose from hundreds of social casino-style games for your chance to redeem serious cash prizes. There are new game releases weekly, plus free daily bonuses. So don't wait. Start having the most fun ever at ChumbaCasino.com.
Sponsored by Chumba Casino. No purchase necessary. VGW Group. Void where prohibited by law. 18 plus. Terms and conditions apply.